Our mortgage is $3,845, utilities $394, and internet $66. In total, our monthly housing cost $4,305, and we pay zero of it with one strategy. And even better, this strategy gives us an extra of $17,000 every year. And this is the craziest part because we don't have to cover our housing costs. It means we can save $1.29 million less to get to retirement. And that's why we're able to retire in our early 30s. And it's totally possible. So stick around. I'm gonna show you how this strategy works and break down the math. Hey Freedom Seekers, I'm Angie from Stroll to Freedom. Today, I'm gonna diving into this strategy that completely changed our FIRE timeline. It's called house hacking. So if you own a house or you're renting a place that can let you sublease, this strategy is for you. It's honestly one of the smartest financial moves that we ever made because it did not only shorten our journey to financial freedom, but it also pays for our travels. And that's the reason why we get to travel for 6 months a year. By the end of this video, you will understand how house hacking works, and you can see how you can apply it into your own situation. So first, I want to tell you a story of two people. One is Van Gogh and one is Gauguin. And they are really good friends. They live next to each other. So that's why they paying the same amount of mortgage. So each of them, every year, they would pay about $24,000 in mortgage. But Van Gogh actually house hacked his house, so he's making an extra of $25,200 because of house hacking. But Gauguin doesn't, so he's making $0. Now, because this Van Gogh an extra $25,000 every year, he decided to invest this amount into index fund. Let's make easy numbers. Let's say his annual returns is 10%. So he made about $2,500 from his investment of this amount of money. And Gauguin, of course, doesn't have anything to invest, so he comes out as $0. So at the end, because Van Gogh house hacked, after 1 year, the difference in finance between the two of them is $27,720. And this is just year one. Let's think about the power of compound interest. So over the years, this gap's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger just because Van Gogh decided to house hack. And there's many more benefits that we're gonna talk about later as well. A lot of financial benefits. Now you understand the power of house hacking. So what is exactly house hacking? You buy a property and live in a part of it and rent out the remaining part of the house. So it can be a duplex. You live in one unit and rent out the rest. It can be a roommate situation. You have extra bedrooms in your house and you don't mind having roommates. Or it can be you have a house and have an adjacent unit in the back and then decide to rent out that unit. Or in our situation, we buy a house and divide it into different spaces. We have our own living space and we have another area to rent out. So the gist of it is you buy a property with the intention to rent out a part of it. Well, you need to love the house first. From our own experience, when you buy a house to live, it needs to feel like home to you because it sucks to live for like many years in a house that you don't love as much just because it generates money for you. It takes a lot of time to do that research and look for the right house, but it always pays off because you want to get up every day enjoying the place that you're in, and then you have to think of the situation where you can rent out the other part of the house without having to sacrifice so much of your ideal lifestyle. It's also applied if you're renting out a space and that space allows you to sublease. You can think of ways of how you can hack it. So it's a hack, right? Because it's a hack, you have to be creative. You have to think about your lifestyle preference and how you're gonna make it work. Okay, and now here exactly how we house hack our own home and the actual numbers that we have been benefiting from it. All right, so I'm gonna move this out. I'm gonna keep this. Let's say this is our home. And remember the mortgage, utilities, and internet costs that I shared earlier? So it came out to about $4,305 per month. So now you times that number with 12, you would have $51,660 if we didn't house hack. This is the money that's gonna come out of our pocket. And remember, this is a money after tax. So we have to make even more to get to this number, right? Because we decided to house hack many years ago. So the annual income that we had from it would cover all of our housing costs and give us $7,000 on top of it. And because we put all of these into index funds, so let's say the annual return is 10%, that would give us an extra of this much from the investment. And not only that, because we pay off our mortgage, right? We would also gain a tiny bit of equity every year. Let's say it's about $6,000. If you add all of this just because we decided to house hack, in the end, this is what it gives us. $70,526. Of course, the majority of it go to cover all the housing costs. What really came out from it is these numbers, the extra $7,000, the investment returns, and the equity. But there's a lot of more financial benefits from it. So let's talk about the $1.29 million that I shared earlier that we didn't have to save in order to retire. So that means that if we have to pay this number out of our pocket every year in the FIRE formula, we have to have enough net worth to generate this much income in order to retire. And then we use the 4% formula that would give us the $1.29 million. So I hope that helps. It's not completely passive because we have to manage our rentals, but it's really fast-tracked us to retirement just because of that. Now we talk about the other benefits. The first one is taxes. I think this strategy is so awesome because it actually helps with the two biggest expenses that most of us have: mortgage/rent and taxes. The first textbook that I read, this one sentence that's been stuck with me for years: doesn't matter how much you make. What matters is how much you have left after tax. And it's just so powerful. I think a lot of people should try to make as much as they can and they overlook taxes, while it should be the first thing you should look into how you can save from it. So anyway, back to our situation. Because we're running a business which is rentals, we get to write off a lot of business expenses. So we have tax deductions from that business. Because of our setup, we have 50% of the house as a living space and the other 50% as rental space. So when we do tax deduction, we can only deduct 50% of the expenses just because that's how it is set up. But for your case, it may be different. But for us, out of the bat, we can deduct on property taxes, mortgage payments, utilities, internet, all of the housing costs, all of the costs associated with the business, which is really beautiful. So usually in the first year, you would have spent a lot of money to set up your rentals, and all of those can be carried over to your W-2 in order to lower the taxes. And then through all of this, even though it's really painful, but we learned a little bit about real estate investments. I feel like one of the most important skills that we learned is to smell a scam from a mile away. So whenever we saw a real estate deal or people claiming how much they make from rentals and how easy it is, etc., we were skeptical because we know how hard it is, how much effort we need to put in it. And people usually share about revenue but not net profit. It's always good to be cautious in this space. business, but all the skills that we have developed, real estate investment, management, estimating deals, all of those are compound skills that would help us more in the future if we ever want to invest more in real estate, especially how to deal with customers, tenants, etc. And how to fix things around the house. We become really handy. Also, now we have a network of contractors, cleaners that give us a lot of ease whenever we have to travel for a month or 2 months being away from the house, because we know that they are in good hands. And another beautiful thing about real estate investments is that your mortgage stays fixed, right? While inflation keeps pushing rental income up. As long as you can keep it for a while, you're gonna increase in gains from your rental incomes. And then the last thing, so this is a sacrifice that we decided to make. It doesn't suit everybody's personality. It's really a lifestyle preference. And so whenever we're traveling, we decided to rent out our own space. And that's the reason why we make extra money while traveling. The most recent trip, we are away for 16 days and they made about $1,000 from the rental income. It's really nice because I feel like outside of the US, lodging is relatively more affordable. So the income that we make from renting our own space is usually either equivalent or more than the amount that we had to pay for lodging internationally. And that's really unlocked our traveling capability. That's why we've been traveling for 6 months a year over the past few years. Let's talk about the unglamorous side of house hacking. It's not just sunshine and rainbow and extra money. There are some challenges that we have experienced, so you should really take them into consideration if you want to pursue this strategy. The first one is being a landlord is not everybody's cup of tea. Tyler is usually the one that would manage our tenants. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have anything with customer service. I can do a lot of things in the background, like setting pricing, reviewing our list, but I don't want to talk to customers. And you would receive phone calls if you don't have a property manager. And the thing is, I don't know how I feel about having a property manager. The competent ones would eat a lot into your margins, into your profit, and the incompetent one just adds a different kind of stress to you. But anyway, if you don't have a property manager, expect phone calls at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m. And especially when we're traveling in a different time zones, Tyler would be waking up at 2 a.m. And of course, I was waking up too, even though I don't want to have anything to do with customer service just because I just happen to sleep next to him. I think repair and maintenance is one of the biggest numbers that you should add to your math because it's very unpredictable and it usually costs a lot. So make sure you leave a generous amount of room for this expense. The second thing is privacy trade-offs. It depends on your setting, how you want to divide your property to rent it out. Unless you live in a duplex or multi-unit family home, then you really have a separation from your tenants. But for a lot of cases, you would hear them. So at the beginning, whenever I heard a noise from downstairs, I would wink a little bit. I feel like there's a stranger in our own home, and it makes me feel so self-conscious about not making noise, not playing music. But after 1 year, it just became background noise. I almost didn't realize that we had somebody in the house. I think as a human being, we can adapt really well. And if you're really highly adaptable, I promise you it's not going to be a problem having somebody in the house unless you decide to have roommates. So that's a different lifestyle, and that's college lifestyle still is something that I cannot go back to. But if you're young and you don't mind having roommates, it's a really good strategy for you. Another challenge is operational management skill in general, how you screen the tenants, how you set up your rentals, and you have to do a lot of research on your local regulations and laws to make sure that you play by the book and try not to do anything shady, because you're in this for a long time and you want to make sure that your business is sustainable for you and your lifestyle. And the next thing is cost. It is a front-loaded cost strategy. You have to buy the property, spend money on setting it up, getting the supplies, getting cleaners and everything. So it's a lot of money. It's not like a zero down payment strategy. But I feel like if you already own a home or you're gonna buy a house or you're already renting, less money out of your pockets is a way better. But keep in mind that you have to put out a lot of effort and money upfront. The next thing is external factors. You may have the most accurate math that these properties generate money for you, but you just have the worst neighbors. And when you have a really bad neighbor, it's very hard to carry on the business for years. Another thing is if you're in HOA, the laws can change all the time. Your city can change their regulations without any notice. Be ready and be flexible with unpredictable changes in the future. And these are something completely out of your control. The last thing is, I think like both partners have to be on board. I think this is just so much work that I don't think I would do it just by myself. But because Tyler and I, we are on the same page. We want to cover our housing costs. We want to travel a lot. So we made certain trade-offs, certain sacrifice in order to build the lifestyle that we love to have. So if you have a partner, make sure you have everything figured out, at least knowing what you're getting yourself into, dividing the task and the work. People don't talk about this enough, but both partners have to be on board and then work well with each other. So now you know what house hacking is, the benefits of it, and the challenges of it. The last two things I want to share with you, they are the most critical thing to think about before you even decide if you want to do this strategy. The first one is math. You have to do your math thoroughly. There's not really a bad real estate investment, there's only bad math. Run your math and leave a lot of room for errors, and then stress test your math for different scenarios and see if you're still okay with it. And for the benefits that you're gonna get from it, think about what you're gonna use the extra money for, and think about if this is the lifestyle that you want to commit to. The second thing is, I would recommend this strategy for those who already own a house or renting a place that can sublease. This is very different from buying a property just purely for investment, because buying an investment property comes with a new set of challenges. The benefits that I share didn't carry that well into that investment strategy. I think this is good when you already have some mortgage or rent to pay. You want making some extra money from your own home. Having less to pay to your housing costs would bring less financial stress. That means that you will have more freedom. And having freedom and having options are like the best form of wealth that everybody can build for yourself. And the last thing I want to say that don't worry if house hacking isn't your game, because our end goal is financial independence, and there are so many ways to get there. So it's okay if this is not something that you prefer to. If anything you can take from this video, I would say that house hacking is the most impactful financial move that we have ever made. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why we got to retire in our 30s. It is 1,000% worth for us. but everybody is different. And for you, do a thorough research, take in what I shared today into consideration. I hope it's helpful for you. Also, let us know if you want a step-by-step video of how we actually went through our whole house hacking process. And if you consider short-term rentals, I have a free calculator on our strolltofreedom.com. I'm gonna share the link in the description if you want to run some quick math on a potential short-term rental property you are looking at. All right, if you are a W-2 employee with a steady income, make sure to check out this video of how I set up my long-term investment back when I had a job. And that setup is also another thing that got us to financial freedom faster. All right, I hope it's helpful for everyone. If you have any more questions about house hacking, leave it in the comments below. Thank you so much. I hope it's helpful for you today. Bye now.